Happy holidays to you. I think that covers just about everyone. Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and Christmas. And before you know it, New Year's. I'm Bruce Apar, and this is Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog. Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog is brought to you every week by the Penny Saver and Chase Media Group. And of course, we thank our CEO and leader, Carla Chase, and Frank J. Rich, our Chief Strategy Officer, who is my co-host, however, is not here for the show. He will be back very quickly for putting us on every week. And Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog is a community affairs show where we focus on what's right with the world. We have a very wide variety of guests and topics every week. And if you would like to nominate yourself to be on, you can just email us at editor@pennysavercommunity.com. Today's show is a really special show, as it should be for the holidays. It's about longevity. And I think we all know that medical science, the miracle of medical science, has very fortunately allowed the average life expectancy to increase significantly, certainly in the last century. In fact, if you're at all familiar with local facilities, medical centers just like Northern Westchester Hospital, Hudson Valley Hospital Center, Phelps, and so on, you know that through their expansion and improvements that the state of healthcare, as far as technology and early detection of things like cancer and breast cancer is really at a very, very good stage right now. It's very encouraging. Now, if you go to Wikipedia, the definition of centenarian is somebody who lives to 100 or more than 100. And actually, there are, believe it or not, I was a little bit surprised and encouraged. In the world, according to Wikipedia, there are something close to 500,000 people in that category of centenarian, who are 100 or more. And in the U.S., again, according to Wikipedia, I want to make that attribution, there's something like 70,000, I think it's as of 2010, 70,000 people in that category. And then anybody who lives to 110 or more is actually called a super centenarian. And I think we all can agree anybody who goes to 110 or more is super in a lot of ways, that's for sure. And the rarest, of course, as what logic would tell us, is somebody who lives to 115. And it says as of now, December 2012, there are only 28 people in recorded history who have lived. Now, our show today, we're really happy. We were in the home, and you're going to see this in a couple of seconds, in the home of Margaret and Doug Stockheimer of Hartsdale, and Margaret's aunt, Ceil Tempesta, is 105 years old. And we want to also give credit in our company at Chase Media to Carrie Lynn Kamara. Ceil Tempesta is her great aunt, and she's the one who mentioned to Carla Chase she has a great aunt, 105. Carla said, let's interview her, and we did. And you can judge for yourself, but she could be 25 years her junior, Ceil. God bless her. She's 105 years young. And just to give you a very quick benchmark, when Ceil was born, 1907, the first electric washing machine was introduced. When she was 1 year old, the Model T was introduced. When she was 2 years old, plastic was invented. And when she was 3 years old, the Boy Scouts were established. And so right now, we're going to go to my interview with Ceil Tempesta, 105 years young. Enjoy. Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog is now in the home of Margaret and Doug Stockmeyer in Hartsdale, New York, in Westchester County. I'm Bruce Apar. Frank J. Rich cannot be with us today, but we are very happy to do this very special show with Miss Ceil Tempesta, who is 105 years old. And Miss Tempesta, when's your birthday?
June 5th.
So you were 105 this past...
I'll be 106 this coming June.
Next June, right. So in other words, and there's a beautiful Christmas tree we're looking at, so this will be your 105th Christmas, right? Yeah. And you currently, of course, Margaret, whose home we're at, Margaret and Doug, is your niece. And you were just telling me that there were 8 siblings, right? 3 brothers and 5 sisters. And that there's now you who still survives, and your brother who's 95.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he said he's in the hospital, and but you're really in very great shape, right?
Well, I'm all right. I'm able to take care of myself.
Right.
But I don't do the things I used to do. I used to love to clean house. That was my specialty.
Right.
And I can't do that at all. I can't stand any length of time.
You have a walker?
I have a cane, and I have a walker. I don't use the walker because my niece's house has narrow hallways, and no matter where I can reach for the wall, you know, the spaces are close by. Right. And if I can anchor myself, I'm all right.
Well,
I go up and down stairs.
Right. Well, that's very good.
And I don't ask anybody for help.
No, that's wonderful. It really is. And you get out. You live in White Plains with Tony, who is
Tony Ganazzi.
Is that what's the relationship of Tony to you?
She's my niece. She's my sister's daughter.
She's also your niece, right?
Yeah.
And so does she do shopping for you? Or?
Well, she does. She does all. I don't.
Right.
Sometimes I get her through mail orders.
Right.
Or they'll pick me up something. Margaret will take me out.
Right. You go shopping. Right.
But I don't like to go out in the store. They're so big that I can't get around them.
What, the supermarket? The stores?
Oh, yeah, any store. Everything is so big.
Yeah, it's true. That's right. Yeah.
And I think, I used to like to go up and down the aisles, you know, to see what was new.
Right.
I can't do that anymore.
Sure. But do you go out, for example, to see movies? Are you able to do that?
No, I haven't seen a movie in years.
Right.
And I used to love them.
Right.
And I don't go out. I just don't have the stamina.
Well, sure.
Just sit there.
Right, right. For 2 hours.
Yeah.
But you know, it was occurring to me when I was doing some research that you were probably about 20 years old when the first talking movie came out.
Oh,
which of course was the jazz singer.
I remember the first talking.
Do?
It was the
Al Jolson.
Al Jolson.
Yes, the jazz singer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the movie.
That was it, the jazz singer.
The jazz singer, yeah.
So you saw that?
That was black and white.
Yes, and you saw that?
Yeah,
when it came out in the movies,
I mean. Of course, I used to live in a movie.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
But so until you were 20, you only saw silent movies because there were no talking.
I don't think I was even 20 at that time.
I think it was, 1927 is when the jazz singer. Yeah, right. So you were close to 20 in any case, yeah. And you remember the silent movies?
Yeah. Oh, indeed I did. And then after the movies come in, the talkies came in.
Right.
I can't stand the silent movies anymore.
That's very funny.
You spoil quickly.
Well, and you know, recently a silent movie won the Oscar.
I know, I know, and I never liked them. I don't like them.
That's funny.
And I don't like them black and white.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're a very modern woman, that's why. Yeah. And who was your favorite silent movie star? Do you remember?
Oh, gosh. John Gilbert.
Yes, John Gilbert.
Oh, I adored him.
Right.
And, of course, Gary Cooper.
Yes, yeah, right.
All the old timers.
All the old timers, yeah, yeah.
I don't like any of the new people.
No, not at all?
Oh, I can't stand
like George Clooney or...
I don't like them.
Brad Pitt, Matt Damon?
The dirty faces.
Oh.
With their silly beards.
Well, you remember the movie with James Cagney, Angels with Dirty Faces was the name of the movie.
But,
James Cagney.
But the minute I say, why do they have those awful looking men playing parts in the movies today? Why don't they shave?
That's okay.
I don't mind a beard, but I do mind that little scrubby face that they have. Yeah. I said, they have a handsome face, and they cover it with a dirty beard.
Yeah, it's the way of the...
Now I have my niece's brother. life, even when he was a little boy, he liked long hair.
Yes.
Always. Now he's in his 60s. He still has his long hair,
Right.
snow white,
Yes.
and his beard. And I think, a handsome man. He's covering what is nice, and he's a handsome man.
Yes.
I have another niece. Her son was the same way, long hair and all. So finally he shaved, cut his hair. She says, I never knew my son was so handsome.
Right. No, you get along with my wife. She doesn't like it when I grow a beard.
Yeah,
Same
no.
thing. So now your brother is 95. Does your family have longevity in it in general? Or?
Well, my father was probably around 90 when he
Wow.
died.
Wow. Okay.
I think most of the
Right.
Tempesta family lived long.
That's really great to hear. And what about the way you eat? Do you attribute it to anything? The way you eat? Do you eat certain things? What do you like to eat? Do you eat yogurt,
Well,
for example?
right now I can say nothing. Nothing appeals to me.
No. Okay.
Now they'll go out for dinner. And they'll say, we're going out for dinner.
Right.
I said,
No, not interested.
not for me.
Right.
I don't think people know how to cook anymore.
Really?
I think the restaurant's food is terrible.
Right.
Even an Italian restaurant, it don't taste like Italian food.
No, not to you.
I don't know what they're doing to food today.
Right.
I watch all the food shows,
Right.
and I think, my God, the amount of money they're putting into that plate,
Right.
it isn't worth it. I can cook without wine.
Did you ever smoke cigarettes?
Oh yes, and I quit about 20 years ago.
How long did you smoke? How many years?
Oh, quite a while, maybe around 20 years.
Really?
And I don't know why I ever smoked, because I never liked the taste of tobacco.
Right.
I had to chew gum when
Right.
I smoked.
Right.
And I never smoked while I was working. When I got through, I'd sit down. There's one, idle hands would make me smoke.
Yeah, right. That's
But
right.
if I
right.
kept busy, I would never stop to have a cigarette.
And sometimes people, I don't smoke, sometimes people like to smoke after eating.
Yeah,
Right,
no.
Right.
With me, it was as if I was doing nothing.
Right, then you
I'd
would smoke.
smoke.
Yeah. And what about exercise? Did you ever exercise? I was play sports.
I'm not an exercise person.
No sports?
No.
Right. Well, what about hobbies? I know, right, you
My
knit.
hobbies are crocheting and knitting.
Knitting, yes, that's very nice.
Cooking, baking.
Cooking, baking, right? Yeah.
I used to like to cook.
Do you still cook?
And I always cooked to my taste.
Right.
I felt if I cooked to my taste, everybody else will like it, and they
well,
did.
well, that's true. That is
Yeah.
true of cooks. Yeah.
And sometimes they overflavor stuff or oversalt it.
Hi,
right,
Ceil.
right.
Hi.
Right. That's all right. That's okay. All right. That's very nice. How are you?
I didn't realize.
That's
Sorry.
Okay. That's all right. That's okay.
Margaret.
It's very real.
That's my Margaret's daughter.
Right. That's Carrie's sister.
Carrie's
Yeah, right.
sister.
Yes, right.
No,
Right. Right. Yes.
she Carrie's sister.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah, Carrie and Beth.
right. And it also was occurring to me. You've lived through 19 presidents.
I
lived through 12.
I
You lived
ever
through
remember
19.
is Taft.
Yeah, well, Taft, right? He was. Well, I think when you were born, it was Teddy Roosevelt. Who
Yeah, I was.
president.
A
Right.
little girl
Taft
at
was
the
right.
time.
Right. Taft was.
We lived in we were a mixed neighborhood. A lot of Irish in our neighborhood.
Right.
And the Irish lived upstairs. We lived in the middle floor. And she was always in her window, and she called down to my mother, and she talked about Taft.
Oh, really?
Taft and Hughes was running at that time, I believe.
Okay. Right. Yes.
And she said, don't vote for Taft.
Oh, really? Do you
Or
remember who ran
don't
against
vote
him?
for
Oh,
Hughes.
Hughes was his opponent.
Huh?
Hughes was the opponent.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And she says, because he's no good. And of course, my mother didn't know what she was talking about because she could understand English. She was learning to speak the language.
Right.
And I remember that. And then after that came, I don't remember Teddy Roosevelt at all.
No.
No.
Really? Well, no, because I think you were only
That was
you were 1 or 2 years old when
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt came in.
And then I remember Harding. I liked Harding.
Harding, yeah.
Yeah. I liked Coolidge.
Right.
And
What about FDR?
I adored Eisenhower.
Eisenhower, yes, in the 50s.
I adored him.
Right.
And I didn't care for Roosevelt.
No, okay, you didn't care.
I
What
just-
about Hoover?
I never liked liberals.
Okay. And what about Hoover?
Hoover, I liked him.
Yeah, okay.
I liked him.
And by the way, wasn't I seem to remember President Taft was, I believe, the heaviest president. I think he weighed well over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
He was very big.
He was fat.
He was very he was fat. Okay, yeah, right. I was just trying to be
And,
politically correct. And Ms. Tempesta, what did you do?
The first one I ever voted for was Al Smith.
Oh, real Al Smith?
And that's
wow.
when I got away from the Democratic Party.
Oh, you're very
because
popular.
I felt they defeated it. They did it to him. His own party defeated
Oh,
him.
wow.
So I never voted Democrat.
And you know, to this day,
I think I'm a conservative.
Yes, and to this day, one of the biggest fundraising dinners in New York is the Al Smith dinner.
Yeah.
And you know, you say you have a little bit of arthritis.
A little bit,
but
a lot of bit.
Okay, well, but otherwise you feel great. You feel good.
I don't feel sick.
Right.
It's just the pain, and it bothers me at night when I go to bed at night.
Sure. And how often do you take medication?
I sleep probably 1 hour at night, and then I wake up with the pain in my...
Oh, boy.
And I don't know what to do, where to put my legs,
right.
or how to fold them, or what not to fold them. The pain is terrific.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you on medication?
I have to get up because I can't stand it.
So you only sleep 1 hour?
Yeah, 1 hour. And I doze in between.
Right. And then, what about knitting? You said is one of your hobbies, and really knitting is one of your hobbies.
My hobbies are knitting and crocheting. Right now I'm involved in making Afghans for the little ones.
Oh, that's great.
Because I made them their baby ones. Now they're getting bigger, you know, and as they grow bigger, I make them another one.
And you do that every day?
Yeah, every day.
Like how long?
I put hours all day long.
Hours, right. Now, how often do you see a doctor?
Oh, well, I haven't seen my doctor, I'd say now, probably in 6 months.
Oh, 6 months.
I should have gone. And I do want to go now before January.
Right.
Then I won't go for the rest of the winter.
Right.
But they don't do anything for me. They check me, they tell me that everything is fine. Continue what I'm doing.
That's it?
They never change my medication.
You could probably tell them some things they don't know. That's what I'm
then he'll say, and if I'll say, well, such and such a thing, doctor, he'll say, remember, you're 105 years old. And I said, I know, but can't you do something for the old people? And he'll laugh. So one day, the last time I went there, he said, I want to take your picture. I said, want to do what? He says, yes. I said, I want to take it with you. He says, I talked to my grandmother and my wife about you. He said, you know, you're the oldest person I've ever seen.
Wow, that's great. That's wonderful. It really is. That's, yeah. Well, you know, you should say to him, I don't need to pay you to tell me how old I am.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell him, right?
He said, you're the oldest person. I can't get over you.
Right, that's great. And do you use computers at all? Computers.
That's one thing I don't know a thing about.
No, what about...
I don't know how they use them or what they do.
Right.
Anything that's new today, they have these cell phones and whatnot.
Right.
I said, turn it on for me. I can't.
So you don't use a
cell phone? I'm not interested.
No?
I have a friend of mine, she's a school teacher, retired. So someone said to her, why don't you take up a computer?
Right, yes.
So she said, all right. So I went and I took my course. She said, I didn't like it.
Right, yeah.
I didn't like it.
It's not
I passed my test, but I'm not interested.
Listen, you've been through 105 years without a computer. I don't think you need one now. Now, were you married?
Never.
No, okay. Did you know people, I assume, who went off to war?
No, I'll tell you, I was born poor, and everyone I ever had contact with was as poor as I was.
Yes.
So I wasn't interested in marrying a poor man.
Right.
And I wasn't interested in marrying a rich man because I didn't feel I'd be able to keep it up with them.
Right.
And so I never married because the boys I knew, and as a matter of fact, those boys that I did know, they married, they raised nice families, they had a nice marriage, but I wasn't good enough for them. I couldn't. I couldn't have gone through that stage.
Are any of them still around?
Oh, I don't think so. I think I'm the oldest of all of them.
Right. No, I don't doubt that at all. And now, what was your vocation when you worked?
Nothing really. As a child, I always said I wanted to be a dressmaker.
Yes.
Because my family were tailors and dressmakers.
Right.
and I always wanted to be a dressmaker. But I never, by the time I was of age
Right.
to take a course in dressmaking, the manufacturers came in.
Right.
And they began to make the manufactured clothes. So all the dressmakers were out of business.
Okay,
There
right.
was no more dressmakers.
Right.
So we just would buy our clothes. They were cheaper to buy made than it was to make them yourself.
Right.
Everything changed. Since the First World War, the changes began to come in.
Yes, right.
And they kept, the more you gave people, the more they wanted.
Right.
The more they wanted. Now it's at the point, I don't believe the prices of things today.
Yeah, that's very expensive.
I can't
know.
believe
That's right.
it.
Yes, right.
My God, we used to get, I think they fed our family for 50 cents a day.
Right, yeah,
A can of tomatoes was 5 cents.
right,
A pound of hamburger was 10 cents.
right,
And we'd have meat twice a week. We'd have spaghetti and meatballs on Thursday nights.
right,
And we'd have a chicken or a little roast on Sundays.
Yes.
The rest of the meals were vegetable meals because the Italians cooked a lot of vegetables.
sure,
And we had all vegetable meals, stewed beans or a vegetable stew, and they were delicious.
right,
And I remember on Thursday nights, my mother used to bake on Mondays and on Thursdays. And she'd make about 26 loaves of bread, these great big ones. And I remember her picking them up to throw them in the oven, you know.
right,
And then by the time Thursday came, that bread would be so dry, you couldn't cut it.
right,
And my father would say, well, cook a pot of beans for the night.
yes,
When I come home, I'll cut the bread. He used to cut it with his penknife. And he put it in a great big bowl. And then pour the hot stewed beans over it. And that bread would puff up like a sponge.
wow,
And we'd have that
Oh, that's great.
as a supper. That's how we used up our stale bread.
right.
Nothing was ever wasted in an Italian home.
No, I know, that's right, very efficient, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I saw that when you were 1 year old in 1908 is when Henry Ford introduced the Model T.
Yeah.
Did you ever drive?
Yeah.
You drove?
I didn't learn to drive
No?
until, let me think, how old was I when I learned to drive? I must have been in my 30s.
Right,
I just was never.
so that was around 1940s. I
And
think,
the
right?
cars in those days, my gosh, you could get a Model T for $125.
Yeah, well.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, that might buy you a tire.
And we couldn't afford them.
Right, yeah, right, that's right, yeah. And I also thought it was interesting that, actually the year you were born, the first electric washing machine was,
The washing machine,
Introduced,
first electric lights.
right, yes,
That
right,
was a big thing.
Yeah.
And then the big white wave when all the street lights had more.
right,
Oh, that was a big thing. We all turned out for it.
right, yeah, that's right.
That was a big thing.
So do you have, like in terms of, I'm very interested in music. Who were some of your favorite singers when you were younger?
Gosh, I really don't remember. I liked so many of them that I really don't know which was my favorite. I used to adore, what was his name? And they said he couldn't sing. Oh dear, what was his
Couldn't
name?
sing? Mel Torme or?
There's so many of them. And then he became a great actor.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can't remember what his name was now.
But from a
But
little,
I liked his singing. And
now, you certainly
and I
can't,
used
you
to
can't beat
love,
Sinatra, right?
Nat King Cole.
Nat King Cole,
Oh
yeah.
gosh, they're so melodious.
Yes, yeah, he had a beautiful
Oh.
voice. Yeah, Nat
I
King
loved
Cole.
him.
Yeah,
I don't like any of this music of today.
right. And what about, do you still vote in elections?
No, I don't
No?
vote. I haven't voted for a long time now.
You don't remember when the last time you
I
voted?
feel- I don't know anybody.
No? Right.
I know I read in the papers about Estorino and all. I don't know who they are and what they are and what they're doing. And so much scandal behind every one of them now.
Well, Mr. Astorino is
Terrible.
the county executive and he's doing an excellent job. He's doing a
Yeah.
very good job for Westchester. He's very popular, so, and what about church?
Catholic Church, I don't go to church anymore.
Well, because, yeah, just, it's hard for you, yeah, right,
Catholic Church.
yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I worked in Catholic rectories all my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I went in from school. I'd help the housekeeper and answer the doorbell, take messages,
Right,
help her would wash her dishes for her while she was cooking. And then I grew up into the thing. Then she died, and I was made the housekeeper. I was 21 years old.
So is that how you made money as a housekeeper, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
made money.
Well, you know.
They paid $2 a week.
Oh, okay.
$5 a month when you worked steady.
Right.
And then as you got older, I think when I left St. Patrick's in Norwich, at the Cathedral Church now,
Yes.
and I think my wages at that time was $20 a month.
Right. Yeah.
Room and board.
Yes.
But I couldn't afford to work as a clerk. I couldn't afford to work out because
Right.
you had to pay room and board,
Right.
and you had your transportation. It was cheaper to work as a domestic than
Sure.
it was to work out.
Right.
And
actually,
then from that I went to work for Howard Johnson. I was the first cook.
real Howard Johnson.
Howard Johnson. But that's when he was really in his heyday.
Yeah. Well, on the highways. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yes. Right.
And I worked in New Jersey.
Right.
And then I worked in Jamaica, New York.
Right.
And I was transferred from there to Ohio.
Right.
And then I quit. I was putting in sometimes 14, 16 hours a day, and I never
Wow.
charged them for the overtime
Right. Right.
because I wouldn't leave my table.
Right.
I had no replacement.
Right.
And until the kitchen closed, I'd stay there.
Yeah. Well, listen, we want to thank you and wish you a very merry 105th
Thank
Christmas.
You. Oh, no. I'm through.
What do you mean you're through?
Oh, I don't want to live that long. What's good of living if you're useless?
No, well, you're an inspiration, believe me. You're really an inspiration to everyone. You really are.
No, I've had a hard life,
Yeah.
but a good life.
No.
I always say, had I to live my life over again, I wouldn't mind reliving it as it was.
See, now that's great. I mean, that's a great attitude to have, and that's why you're still with.
Because I
you're
was
still here,
satisfied with
and
my life.
yeah.
I accepted my lot, whatever it was.
Right. Well, I think everybody who's watching this will really, have great admiration for you.
And I had to help my sisters and brothers
Right.
because they couldn't afford to live by themselves. And
Well,
for
see,
little I was
that's the sound of the dong that's telling you. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I lived in nice homes, and I'd help them as much as I could.
Right.
Sometimes someone needed a coat,
Right.
and I said, well, I can give you $15 towards it. You could buy a coat for $45 in those days.
Yes. Yeah.
And then another one needed a pair of shoes, or another one would need a dress, and we helped each other out.
Right. Well, we want to thank you, Ms. Tempesta, and
thank you.
Yeah, we have been talking with Ceil Tempesta of White Plains, and we're here in Hartsdale, New York, at the home of Margaret and Doug Stockmeyer. We thank them very much, and Ms. Tempesta is looking forward to our 106th birthday next June. Thank you for watching Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog, and remember, when Bruce the Blog listens, people talk.